All right, we're gonna call the December 20th meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Murray? Here. Mr. Miller? Here. Mr. Smith? Here. Mr. Backlund? Here. Mrs. Keeper?
Here, this time we'll do pledge of allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, does anyone desire to add, delete, or separate any items on the consent agenda as proposed? No? All right. I need a motion to approve the meeting agenda as presented for the regular board meeting on December 20th of 2021.
So moved. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Backlund? Yes. Mrs. Keeper?
Yes, motion carries. We'll move to a motion. I'm sorry, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular board meeting held on November 15th of 2021.
So moved. Support.
Roll call.
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Backlund?
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper?
Yes, motion carries. At this time, is there any board members with correspondence? Mr. Carroll? Mr. Samola?
Yes, I received a letter of resignation effective December 31st for Mr. Jeff Abrams from his 2-hour bus ride.
Mr. Samola, would you like to continue recognizing our guests and visitors?
I have a lot of students and guests with us today. Could please just introduce yourself, starting in the front.
Dr. Dolores Weinberg, Christy Schmidt,
Brady Roofer.
James Whiteheim, Heather Johnson, Lucy Sarah, Ariana McCabe, Lily Wilhelm,
Ryan Cogan. Brady Hines. Neil Beckman. Trevor Smith. William Barnett. Alex Sprouse. Andy Burgermeister.
Josie Grace Stutz.
Fran Martin, Nicole Massey, Hannah Double, Christina Cruz,
Matthew Hassan. Jordan Witt. Dan Curtis.
Allison Beaver,
Jenny Conrad.
Jacob Rutherford.
Garrett Stout.
and Stacy Baker.
Thank you. At this time, we do have some presentations to the board, and we're going to start with Josie Sutsman. Yes.
It is Josie Grace Stutz. If you want to see the affidavit, I got it signed a couple of weeks ago. Just that. Anyways, I'm here to talk about the Viking Compass. Building on tradition, committed to excellence, cultivating the future. I graduated from Evergreen High School in the summer of 2011. My tradition started at the Fulton Elementary, AI, Ohio, where I was the last class president to walk those halls. As a 5th grader, that was a pretty big deal. As a young adult, I cherish my memories of going to school right down the road from where my formative years took place. Then I was committed to excellence by obtaining the literal award from Adrian College, Excellence in Music Education, given to those that stand out among the rest in their field in their graduating year. I then went on to win another outstanding award, this time in composition at my graduate school, Westminster Choir College, where upon obtaining my master's degree, I gained knowledge and wisdom under the batons of the modern world's greatest conductors. And now, my goal is to cultivate the future, or at least it was, until October 25th, 2021, when my services to my own alma mater were, and I quote, no longer needed. I was not given a reason, and I still seek one today. Even though on October 18th, this board motioned for a pay raise for substitute teachers because, and I quote, they needed daily. And that motion was approved at the next board meeting in November. So why on earth was I no longer need one? Perhaps it was my lack of academic excellence and student development. Though having 2 degrees and one of them being in education itself, perhaps not. Perhaps it was my lack of culture, though I still bring with me what I learned from my experience at Hobie, AKA Hugh O'Brien Youth Leadership Seminar, and my community work through Alpha Tau Omega, the Alpha Mu chapter at Adrian College. So perhaps not. Perhaps it was my lack of engagement. Though I always hold an open door policy wherever I go, wherever I teach, even when I'm met with blatant disregard. Ending communication is the start of every disengagement. So perhaps not. Perhaps it was my lack of support for facilities. Though I take pride in giving my vaccinations, respecting my surroundings by showing up early and making sure every student is safe. So perhaps not. Perhaps it was my lack of student support. No. My very existence is support. I will not let any child be bullied or belittled for how they perceive themselves. I know all too well what it feels like to be subjected to adversity based upon outdated beliefs. And so, the very core beliefs this board says it abides by is failed each and every day when evidence shows they lead this district in the opposite direction. You are not dedicated to students when they go without a teacher and a certified substitute. You do not respect every student and individual in this community when you terminate individuals without reason. You do not appreciate each person's unique purpose when someone's excellence in multiple fields is rejected. You do not recognize the unlimited potential in every student if you decide that some individuals are not to be seen and heard. You do not empower students to make responsible decisions if your decision is to keep qualified people out of the classroom. You do not strive to build strong character in each student when it is decided that only certain identities are allowed to be in the classroom. You do not promote empathy and compassion for others when you lack the very nature of understanding. You do not value family and community when not all are seen as equal. And you certainly do not commit yourself to the safety of students when classrooms go unsupervised because you do not want a trans woman in your district. I yield my time.
Thank you, Josie. Ariana McCabe.
Hello. I wanted to propose that all Evergreen students, including elementary, middle, and high school students who participate in the student section game out, which is posted on the EHS student section Twitter page and can be announced in the library, get into all athletic events for free. In the future, the outs can be announced more frequently and in other ways. Rules and guidelines will be posted throughout the buildings and will be openly available to students. Why would this be positive? Free student admissions would improve the Evergreen community, school spirit, and team morale. The pros would be that we would have an increased student attendance, increased school spirit, increased concession sales, and likely increased adult attendance in order to bring younger students such as those from the elementary. It would promote good public relations, and it would also likely increase other fundraising sales such as 50-50, pie raffle, and after prom fundraising. The only con I could really think of would be the loss of ticket sale profits, but I feel like we could fix this by maybe slightly increasing the adult ticket prices by or we could sell t-shirts like Patrick Henry does to make up for the loss of money when they allow free admission. And Delta also sometimes allows free admission or lowers their prices for students when they want more students. The requirements, some examples could be for the USA out, they must wear all three colors, red, white, and blue, or patriotic clothing. Hawaiian, they would wear tropical or tourist themed clothing more than just a line. Jersey out would be an athletic jersey, obviously. And country, they must wear either a flannel or camo shirt, sweatshirt, or cowboy boots, bandanas, hats, etc. And pajamas, wear actual pajamas. Christmas, wear as much as green and red as possible, including Christmas sweaters, costumes, Santa hats, etc. just to conclude, I think that allowing students free admission into athletic events has more pros than cons and will benefit us as a district. There are many ways that we can make up for the loss of ticket funds and with other methods of raising money. I'm hoping that if this new policy is approved, it could be implemented by the beginning of the next school year.
Thank you, Ariana.
Thank you.
Mr. Carroll, can you continue with our financial reports?
Thank you. Finance reports for November. First page you see is our cash reconciliation. This proves that we are balanced to the bank. Next one you see is our disbursement summary. These are the checks that we had issued during the month of November. Next, you'll see our cash summary. So out of all the funds that we have in the district, these are broken out by fund, and it does show how much we've received for the year, how much we've spent, and then also the balance and how much we have in POs currently. Then we have a financial summary. Again, this is the funds split out by object level. And again, this just shows that how we budgeted and that our appropriations are in line. First colored page that you'll see is our general fund graph. This is showing the revenue that we have compared to last year, along with our expenses that we have brought in, or that we spent this year compared to last year. See our cash balance, and we are right in line with where we were last year. So we're keeping a good trend so far this year. And the last page is our payroll and benefits. Everything looks normal and good right now. Benefits are up a little bit, but that's because supplementals were paid, so that's normal and expected. So those are the financial reports that I have for you. If you have any questions.
Probably repetition. Any updates on the pipeline? I didn't figure there was, but I figured I'd ask regardless.
Update for funding from the state. As in an email that I sent you guys this week. We're hoping that January we get our new figures. And as soon as I hear what those are, then I will provide you an update with that. Income tax levy. I was really hoping to have our resolution ready, but I have not received it yet. So we will have that for January.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Carroll? All right, we'll move on to our financial section of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the following November 2021 financial reports we just went over. A motion to accept the following donations: $100 anonymous donation to the Student Assistance Fund, $700 from Grand Canyon University to pay for the lunch on September 3rd, Professional Development Day, as well as a motion to approve a revised auxiliary service agreement with the Educational Service Center of Lake Erie West for the 21-22 school year in the amount of $75,411 for services of auxiliary service personnel for the benefit of Holy Trinity Schools, and to amend resources and modify appropriations accordingly, as well as to approve the following state grants for the 21-22 school year: a title-free language instruction for English learners, $497.68, and students for other students of $5,000. We also need to approve the following appropriation modification and amend resources accordingly. We need to increase the building improvements fund $75,000 to cover additional expenses for the athletic facility project. Funds to be used for athletic department furniture, film room equipment, change orders, and additional weight room equipment. At this time, I just need a motion to approve the preceding financial motions, reports, and other financial items.
So support.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions?
What's the additional weight room equipment?
Just looking at getting some I think a variety of things in there, some cardio, also some of the ropes, kettlebells, just what the coaches had requested before that we have not added.
Of that 75,000, do we know how much is change orders or?
So we can kind of work backwards,
Okay,
Weight room was approximately 15,000, 10,000, actually about 14,000 for the training room furniture and the athletic director's office furniture. And about what was it, 20,000 for equipment in the film room, and then the rest would have been the change orders.
And I had built some in already for change orders. This is just a little bit extra.
okay, so just kind of keeping that cushion there.
Correct.
Okay. Any further discussion or questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith. Yes. Mr. Vacuous. Yes. Mrs. Keeper.
Yes, motion carries. We move on to personnel. Need a motion to rescind and offer the following supplemental contract for the 21-22 school year and approve volunteers pending the completion of all pupil activity permit requirements. Troy Zabawa, head volleyball coach, Aaron Schmidt, varsity assistant track coach, John Wodarski, volunteer indoor track coach, Andrew Bailey, we're gonna rescind varsity assistant wrestling coach and approve, which was approved on 11/15/21 and approve as volunteer assistant wrestling coach, as well as Jesse Beverly, assistant wrestling coach. We need to offer the following supplemental contract for 21-22 school year pending the completion of any and all certifications and licensure for Amber Doble, half contract for elementary yearbook, and Tori Wright, half contract for elementary yearbook. We also need to accept the resignation of Jeff Abrams as bus driver effective December 31st and to employ Jeff as head mechanic effective January 1st on an annual salary of $50,000 and an approved 5 training days at his per diem rate. All other benefits will be according to the employment contract and board policy. At this time, I just need a motion to approve the above listed personnel positions.
So move. Support.
Questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Vacuous.
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper.
Yes, motion carries. Move on to other business. I need a motion for the Evergreen Local Board of Education to adopt the 22-23 district school calendar and to tentatively approve the 23-24 district school calendar as recommended by school administration and the calendar committee after receiving public input to include the following significant dates.
So move. Support.
Questions or discussion? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Vacuous.
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper.
Yes, motion carries. This time we need a motion for the Evergreen Local Board of Education to approve the appointment of Cindy Vance to the Library Board of Trustees for a 7-year term beginning January 1st of 2022 and ending December 31st of 2028.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Vacuous.
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper.
Yes, motion carries. I need a motion for the Evergreen Local Board of Education to join in membership with the Ohio School Board Association and authorize the treasurer to pay the $5,567 membership for the 2022 school year. Last year's 2021 was $5,171.
So moved. Support.
Question or discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Vacuous.
Yes.
Mrs. Keeper.
Yes, motion carries. This time, we will we'll approve service agreements. I'll need a motion for the Evergreen Local Board of Education to enter a day treatment purchase service agreement with A&G Educational Services LLC, a special needs education company for the sole purpose of providing educational services in accordance with placement at the LEAP program. Student placement will be at the per diem rate of $145 per student.
So moved. Support.
Questions or discussion?
What's the LEAP program?
It is a program similar to the IEC. It's an alternative placement. Want to have that as a backup. We had discussed IEC with a family and they were not open to that. This would be much more convenient for them for transportation.
Thank you.
No guarantee we would use it, but I want to have that as an option for the second
case.
semester.
Gotcha.
Further questions? All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Bacula.
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. This time we need a motion to set the 2022 annual organizational meeting for the Evergreen Local Board of Education on January, and right now tentatively, we're looking at the second Monday, the 10th, because it has to be done before the 15th, that first one, at 5:45 to be held in the Evergreen High School Lauren Pennington Learning Center at the regular board meeting, with the regular board meeting to immediately follow. Does the 10th work for you guys? Okay. I just need a motion to approve that.
So moved. Support.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Bacula,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. This time, we need to elect a president pro tempore to preside at the beginning of the January 22 organizational meeting. Would anybody like to do that? Zach, okay. So I will read this motion now. We're going to make a motion to elect Zach Murray as the president pro tempore to preside at the beginning of the January 2022 organizational meeting until the newly elected president assumes the chair.
So moved. Support.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Murray,
I think I can abstain.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Bacula,
Yes.
Mrs. Kiefer.
Yes, motion carries. At this time, Mr. Samoa, would you like to take over discussion and information?
Yeah, I wanted to give an update on the renovation project. The great progress that they were making on the expansion has slowed down a little bit. They did get the weight room flooring has been installed. New plumbing is going in the south side, which is the girls' locker room. Unfortunately, the epoxy flooring that was scheduled for installation on December 2nd has yet to be installed. The reason for that, the truck that was bringing the flooring material to the school was in a severe accident, and the materials in the trailer were lost, so they had to create a whole new batch of flooring for us, and that has caused the delay. That flooring then not going in has resulted in slowing some of the other work that needs to be done that was contingent on the flooring being in. We are still optimistic that we will be able to occupy the north end by the end of January. So we have a construction meeting update tomorrow. I'll have more information to provide after that meeting. Any questions on the construction? Next item I'd like to thank Mr. Cade for presenting this evening. If the board is interested in pursuing an adjusted admission policy for Evergreen students at home athletic events, I think we would need to do a little research administratively. Any potential change would have to be looked at for the next school year. We would need information on potential lost revenue, other ways to generate income, and a means of student identification for getting in. So I am open to looking at that if the board has a desire to do so, or if you have any questions now for.
I think that would be great. If even, is there, Ariana, is it just kind of yourself, or do you have a group of people who are kind of working on it?
I know Annie has looked into it.
Okay, I just wondered, because I'd like Mr. I would like Derek, I'm sorry, to be part of it too, to figure out what that looks like for the athletic department. If it, so you guys could either, I don't know if you want to have like a committee, you want a board member on there. I'm always willing to do that too, so. But definitely more homework to do on that before.
Yeah.
But I think,
I like the idea. I'd like
I
to see
do
the
too.
financials on it as well. I'm not sure how easy it is to break the financials out though.
well, just
I think it's worth looking at.
if we looked at how many student passes are purchased and that kind of stuff, like what potential, yep. Just a little bit more background information.
We'll look into that in January.
Awesome. Okay.
The other items on, I believe,
You want me to take care of that, or you want to do
well, I can do that. Going into the organizational meeting, there's some things that would be nice to know if you desire to continue as I prepare agendas for the meetings. Shall the superintendent continue to serve as the purchasing agent for Evergreen Local School Board of Education with a single item spending limit of $35,000?
I think we're all good with that.
Any large purchases, I'll make sure
For our usual arrangement.
we can do that. Shall the board adopt a resolution to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the previous meeting?
Yes.
Shall the board continue to utilize a consent agenda by topic for future meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
After the initial meeting on the 10th, shall the board continue to meet on the third Monday of the month at 6 p.m.?
When possible, yeah.
Yes.
Shall the board continue accepting oral reports from the building principals at the meetings?
Yes. I like them.
Me too.
Yeah.
Shall the board continue to be compensated for a maximum of 13 meetings per year?
Yes.
Does the board wish to continue an opening ceremony of the regular meetings that consists of the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll jump right into those building reports and we'll start with Mrs. Strahan.
Good evening, everybody. Just a few things on the update here. The elementary choir had a wonderful performance and a great turnout as usual. Standing room only for our elementary choir Christmas concert on the 14th of December. And I do have an update for our MVP fundraiser orders. They were supposed to be delivered today, but there's a shipping delay, and so the orders will need to be picked up tomorrow instead. And that information went out to parents yesterday. I didn't see anybody show up to pick up their orders today, so I think we're good for tomorrow for that to be picked up. Our elementary PBIS team had a reward for the students for improving their cafeteria behavior, and they enjoyed a dinner theater type watching a movie during lunch recently, and that was a reward for improving their cafeteria behavior. For December, we are focusing on building a snowman with toodles. They're cut out shapes of snowflakes that the students are giving to each other and to staff members. Staff members are also giving them to each other, just to recognize kindness and good things that others are doing for people in the school. We did receive our third grade ELA results for the Ohio Achievement Assessments, and we have some students that haven't met the third grade reading guarantee yet, but the good news is that there's an exemption this year that they do not have to meet that requirement in order to be promoted to fourth grade. We are still going to provide intervention for the students so they can achieve that proficient range, so that helps us with our report card. And we will be working with the students to help them with the reading comprehension, and our reading intervention teachers will be putting together programs for the students who meet that requirement. Tomorrow's our Christmas luncheon. MVP provides a Christmas luncheon for everybody at the elementary school, and we're all looking forward to that. We're all looking forward to Christmas break, so I wish all of you a safe and happy holiday season. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Roofer.
Since you approved it for the next calendar year, does that mean I get more time now? I can make it a 20-minute presentation. We're just trying to survive and make it to Christmas break, so we're almost there. I want to recognize Mr. Beamer and Mrs. Brain for leading our 6th and 7th grade students in the Sierra Strong program. They're hands-on self-defense and our physical education classes. And then in our career connections class, they're doing more of the book work, focusing on keeping themselves safe in the community, online, and just building those skills. 6th grade camp is scheduled for May 17th through the 20th. It will be day camp this year again, except there's one day that they're going to be late coming back to the school just because of some presentations and stuff, but every day they will be back in time to get on the buses. And then I just want to congratulate our National Junior Honor Society. They collected, and all of the students in the building collected over 1,200 food items that were donated to families in need for Fulton County, which is one of the biggest collections we've had, at least since I've been here. Other than that, we got our dance tomorrow. We had our annual volleyball game against football and volleyball players today, so one more day to go. That's it. Unless there's questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Curtis.
Hello, everybody. We like to congratulate a couple of different students. We had an high school committee that worked to develop what we're calling the Viking virtues, 4 different virtues that we're looking at encouraging and highlighting over the course of the year. Emmanuel Gutierrez, Ivan Applin, Ellie Johnson, and Jocelyn Schuster were identified as the Viking virtues students of the month for the virtue of pride. We had all of our teachers sent in various nominations for students representing pride in various ways around the building. We had 32 different nominations, and those 4 students were chosen by the staff after we gathered all the nominations, reviewed all the purposes and causes behind those nominations. So those 4 students were identified as their grade level representatives. Great job for all those students. We are going to be focusing on respect next month. The 4 students that were awarded, that were identified as the students of the month, were honored with a Chick-fil-A luncheon with their nominating teacher. So all the teachers and the students got together. We got a chance to talk about the great ways that they're positively representing Evergreen around the school and the community. And everyone got a chance to eat lunch together and talk about the great things that they're doing. So congratulations to those 4 students, along with all the other students that were. The Signs of Suicide program through the Maumee Valley Guidance Center visited here at the end of November, worked into the 9th grade physical education classes to provide students with suicide prevention and mental health topics. We are finishing up state testing. This is the first time since we moved away from a block. Obviously, we're working on state testing retakes just for those students that needed to retake tests. We're going to have a big round of testing in the springtime that we're going to be organizing here at the high school. Congratulations to all of our students. We had our winter band and choir performances here in the past week or so. It's been the first time in a long time, I think, we've been able to not have to worry about ticket taking and inviting all the community in. The band did a great job here a little over a week ago in the gymnasium. Holy Trinity Church, big thank you to Holy Trinity Church that sponsored our choir group. Everyone did a great job. Both events were very well attended. So that's all I have. Unless there are any other questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Sue.
Good evening. Thank you guys for letting me have the opportunity to speak. We wrapped fall sports just a couple months ago. With that being said, girls soccer bringing home their first of hopefully many NWAL championships, and our boys soccer team taking home their first OHSA sectional championship. So very successful fall. This fall, we had over 193 students, athletes participating 7th through 12th grade in athletics. Currently for winter, we're at 182 student athletes currently participating 7th through 12th grade. Mr. Troy Zabawa wanted to thank you for approval of the head coaching position as a volleyball coach. He's just not able to be here, unfortunately due to safety COVID protocols. But he did want to say thank you. And also I know that PBG families and volleyball players are definitely excited to have Coach Zabawa lead the program to future success. He's done a great job at the JV level, so we're excited for him up at the varsity level. Football applicant head coaching search, we received 14 official applicants. That number was narrowed down to 6 applicants that'll be interviewed. The process actually begins tomorrow night. We have a long night planned for us, but first round of interviews, we were able to put together a pretty stellar hiring committee. Consists of a former athletic administrator from a very prominent football program that's kind of gone through the same process before. A former head coach that's won plenty of NWAL titles and made the Final Four himself several occasions. Another coach that won a state championship not so many years ago locally as well, to be a part of the hiring committee to really find that person that's hopefully going to find the right fit for a long, successful tenure here at Evergreen. Lastly, I'd like to thank our 6 NWAL Leadership Conference representatives. With that, they attended the NWAL Leadership Conference on December 1st. We had 2 freshman representatives. That was Max Mossing and Addie Ricker. 2 sophomores, Tyson Woodring, Macy Chamberlain, and 2 juniors, Connor Houston and Lucy Cerna, for being able to have the opportunity to compete some challenges, meet other leaders from the NWOAL. And lastly, got to listen to a panel of speakers that consisted of Doug and Dave Kraus, had Shar Sharp, Tim Meister, and Greg Henselman. If you know any of those guys or coaches in the area, they're probably some of the best coaches possible here in the NWOAL. I think we added up, there's over like 2,500 some wins between the 5 panelists. And I think it was 8 state championships between them. So it was just a really neat opportunity for them to have, to hear from them, to hear from that panel, but also get with some other leaders in the NWL to hopefully continue to build that positive culture that we have, that we're working towards here at Evergreen and that we have here at Evergreen. With that, are there any questions?
I don't think so.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Are there any, sorry, Mr. Samala?
Just one item I wanted to cover, an update on where we're at with our strategic planning process. Last couple of weeks, we completed surveys for the high school, middle school, and elementary students. We are in the process of analyzing those results and identifying areas of focus as we continue that process. District staff surveys have been sent out, and those should be completed by the end of the day tomorrow. In January, parent surveys will be sent out. After the remaining survey results come in, we will have a committee meetings, looking at those 5 areas of the current strategic plan: academics, culture, engagement, facilities, and student supports. Internal and external committees will take a deeper dive into the survey results and work to revise our goals and strategies as we update the strategic plan, the Viking Compass, with the goal of having revisions in place for next school year. More info to come as those results get in and finalized. Any questions?
All right. Now, is there any board members with questions or concerns? No? All right, I need a motion for the members of the Evergreen Local Board of Education, Superintendent, Treasurer, and invited guests to go into the executive session for the following reasons: to consider the employment of public employees.
So moved. Support.
There will be no action after this, so if anybody had papers or anything for Mr. Blanchard, you can give them to Mr. Curtis. How can you do roll call?
Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Smith? Yes. Mr. Beckler?
Yeah.
Mrs. Keeper?
Yes.